I wanted to get your take on meditation. Is it something you do?
Yeah, it is something I do. It's a very dear practice to me. I think it's been hijacked. So it's been marketed as a relaxation tool, and it's just not designed as that. It's not a relaxation tool. The whole point of meditation and the reason that it came about, if we look at the horse's mouth and Buddhist philosophy, is that it's to undo the illusion of self. And I had a chat with a guy called Daniel Ingram, who is a emergency medicine doctor who's basically completed meditation, spent multiple months in retreat, and he's now achieved the outcome. He's undone the illusion of self, and he lives in a functionally different brain state to most people. He says a lot of people will, if they're hyper responders to meditation and they just start without having that context, they can end up finding themselves in really deep water because they're having experiences that they think are them becoming psychotic, and they're not able to place why this is happening. It's because you started someone on a path of undoing a lot of the basic fabric of their belief structures without giving them adequate warning that this is what you're doing. So I would say for meditation, do some reading about it. Make sure that it is a thread that you want to start pulling on before starting a practice. Don't think that because it's sitting quietly on a cushion that it's safe. I don't think anything is 100% safe. I'd recommend looking at a book called Mindfulness in Plain English by Henepala Gorantana. It's a very accessible book on that. And then if it's something that you're keen on, then just start with an app. I'm sure any Insight Timer, Calm, any of those things, just to dip your toe into it. And then once you're comfortable with the practice and you know where it's taking you, then you can take the stabilizers off and go full in.
Okay, I'm so interested in this. I don't know, and I'm glad you actually mentioned apps because I wasn't sure whether this would be something you would frown upon. I was going to start an app, Sam Harris's one. I've listened to a couple of podcasts with him on, and I wanted to just test the waters. What I've never heard someone talk about almost completing meditation like a video game. I've never heard of that as a, I suppose I just always presumed wrongly that it was one of these journeys that you never saw the end of. There was always more to discover, but that's really flipped it on its head for me.
I think it's a real Everest. It's not something. It's something very few people in the world have done, but we can see the functional correlates in the fMRIs of people. That there are a few people who have submitted themselves to science and said, "Look, I've done 10,000 hours of meditation, and now my subjective experience is fundamentally different. Like my phenomenology is flipped on its head." And rightly, you look at their brains and you can actually see that there is very little blood flow in the default mode network, and there is a lot of activity in the tasking network. Most people, it's the other way around. So these people who have completed meditation, brain looks like somebody who is on a psychedelic drug, but just constantly. So that's really interesting to see. And the way they describe it, so Daniel Ingram talks about his experience as being decentralized. So he says, if there's a glass of water over there, previously, prior to this shift happening, the glass of water was there, the sensory input was coming to here, and then it was being processed, and then it was being projected back out onto there. So he's, okay, I'm over here, and the glass of water's over there. Now, the water's just there, and there's no processor over here. If it's raining outside, the rain is happening there. It's not happening bouncing off here. Does that make sense?
Yes, it sounds like once you open that door, it's like you don't know what you don't know, do you? You can't unsee. And I think what you just said about being potentially doing a little bit of research before you start opening that door is maybe a good idea.
I think it's wise, yeah. Especially the Sam Harris stuff, because that's very much self-inquiry practices of trying to turn the eyeball back on itself.
In words, for the average Joe, if we were, I'm thinking of a busy mum, kids get up in the morning, the mornings are always super, super busy, but they want to bring a little bit more maybe objective time, objective thought into their day. When we talk about meditation, can it simply be used as a practice to reduce stress levels, or is that a very superficial way to be looking at it?
It can be. I don't believe it's the most efficient way to get there, and also it carries the potential rare but real risk of uncovering stuff in your mind that could take you by surprise. I would say for what most people are trying to get out of meditation, which is really the relaxation and a bit of distance from their thoughts, I would start with a gentle breathwork practice or lying relaxation, like
Yeah.
progressive muscle relaxation.
Because it gives you something to concentrate on, doesn't it? That's not necessarily internal. And if you are someone who perhaps has some unresolved trauma, or maybe you're looking into that in other areas, maybe that's not the type of thing that you necessarily want to. That's more anxiety inducing, isn't it? Rather than the other way around.
Yeah, 100%. And I think if there is a chance that you're going to be dealing with trauma, it's always good to work through that with a professional in a safe space of someone who's experienced and can guide you through that. So I'm a big advocate of therapy.
Yep, I'm surprised, pleasantly surprised that you meditate. Actually, I don't know why I didn't think that you would. Is it time blocked though into the day?
Sometimes I've meditated for a while. I think on my Insight timer, it's about 1,000 hours. But what's really interesting, and if you'll indulge me with this, there's a guy who actually wrote out what you experience at different levels of meditation. This was from Project Monkey Mind. So he talks about like at 100 hours, you get less stress, less anxiety, less fear, more focus, optimism. At 1,000 hours, there's the sense of being driven and aware and intuitive, reduced need for sleep, increased capacity to experience love, higher pain tolerance, sharper concentration, improved emotional sensitivity. And then 5,000 hours, much of the ego dissolves, very little attachment to any point of view. Deep feelings of peace will pop up and stay for unpredictable amounts of time. Boredom never occurs. Like quite fundamental changes in the state of your consciousness.
I was going to say I'd like to bring all of those attributes to my to
Yeah.
myself. I better get racking up those hours.